Everyone, welcome to this new video. And today we're going to talk about, again, an idea that I think is quite important for what type of clinic are we practicing. And it's not enough to stress that I'm, I'm never talking about what's best. I'm talking about theory. And there is something one could call a classical idea or statement in psychoanalysis that says that the subject needs to seek, needs to has a duty to seek the reasons for his or her suffering, to discover his or her um, part on that in that symptom that she or he complains. Now, I want to address this sentence the way this is stated. If when we say something like the subject has a duty, an ethical duty to seek the reasons of his or her um, implication, responsibility on a symptom, aren't we confusing she and he with the subject? I think we are. I think we are confusing the subject, the Lacanian subject, with a she or a he or a they or whatever pronoun you can think of. And I don't believe I need to read citations here, but if that's the case, I will. You can comment at some point of how many times Lacan said, "Listen, let's not confuse under no circumstances the individual with the subject, the I with the subject." So this is a complicated. It's a theory. It's out there. It's consolidated. But to me, there are problems here that we need to address. We are using the subject as a substitution to talk about she or he. That's the case, fine. But then again, this is the whole point here to look at theory to see what kind of clinic we are trying to do. If you're using the subject simply as a substitute for uh, she or he, then perfectly fine. I think the category of subject has other uses. It's actually a very important use. And if the subject is what a signifier represents to another signifier, the subject is in this beyond this gap in the signifying loop. First of all, it can never be identified, and it can never fall under the category of any subject of or psychological subject of understanding. And now, how does that work? How does the subject implicate himself in that perspective? Um, that's why differentiating the subject from the individual, from the citizen, from the person, from the anthropological subject is very important. And also to think of the subject in a mixing of otherness. It's important for a solution in this, for a new perspective on this classical statement, I would say. So, and I would like to make some extra comments. Not only there's a theoretical problem, I believe, that needs to be addressed, but it's a kind of a grammar vocabulary that fits quite well with neoliberal perspectives of one being responsible for his own uh, or her own future. So if you work hard, you can make it. You get there. It's there's a individualism implied in there, and maybe if psychoanalysis has anything to offer, is always go on the opposite direction of what the orthodox, or even better, the doxa is putting out there. So isn't saying, look, implicate yourself, she or he, the subject, because remember I pointed out a substitution very similar to, yeah, you can do it yourself, uh, work hard and you get there. That's the first thing I'd like to point out. The second thing I'd like to point out is that implicate has a very strong relation to responsibility. And we can talk about where I believe this connection responsibility came from, which I think is both from a Freudian comment on a dream, as a kind of a moral responsibility, and then the Lacanian text where he talks about how the analysts are responsible for the context, for the concept they give to the subject. But I think there are other interpretations that might have led to understanding that the subject is responsible. And then I think I mentioned this. How can it be implicated, responsible in the sense that those classical statements put out there, if the subject is not subsumable under a subject of understanding? And will this notion of implicate oneself hold for situations? And I'm just going to give an extreme situations for analysis, because for analysis that will maybe take place having a post-war background kind of situation. I believe it's a bit, again, implicate myself in what they destroyed everything. Implicate the subject. What subject might be a problematic statement. And finally, as I said at the beginning, the subject, she or he, are not the same. If they are the same, well, maybe you can think of them as the same and have one way of practicing it, and then you can think of them differently and have a different way of addressing your clinic. So just a few remarks for today's video. If you liked this video, please like and comment, and see you next time. Thank you.